Selling smarter, San Diego. Let's talk about closing the deal on the sale of your house and all the things that happen during and at the end of the escrow. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeremy Katz with eXp San Diego House Hunting. In our seller series, let's talk about running a smooth escrow and bringing it to the closing and all the things that happen to get you the most money possible on the smooth sale of your home. First, let's talk about escrow. A lot of us have bought and sold homes in the past, but as a reminder, escrow is our third-party, independent, neutral company that collects all of the documentation and monies and disperses all of the documents and money at the close of the escrow. So their job, and you'll be paying them a fee to perform their work, is to be an impartial third party to handle the collection and dissemination of all of the funds and documents during the transaction. By the way, you will get a full copy of all of the documents and communication log for your transaction at the end. So yes, you can save and store things as you go along, or just rest assured that I'll send you a link where you can download all of the electronic documents at the end of the escrow. Escrow, of course, includes home inspections. There can be a variety of inspections. The most typical ones are the general physical inspection, a house inspection. But you'll also see the two additional most common inspections that we see undertaken on houses. Number one are the termite inspection, where they're going to check all of the property for active infestations and any pests. And number two, they're going to be checking potentially the sewer and plumbing lines. Those are additional or supplemental inspections. Typically, those costs of those inspections are borne by the buyer, and we need to make the house available to let them undertake those inspections. It's important to do that without any interference and do it on a timely and prompt basis. Let the buyer in and let them figure out if they are ready to take on your property with all the benefits and some of the potential costs that go with home ownership. They should be ready for those. Next is the question of title insurance. So the title insurance company will be verifying the ownership of the property and any established liens. The buyers of the property, especially if they're using a loan, are going to be expecting to get the property free and clear of all liens and encumbrances. The title company will be issuing a so-called preliminary title report, which enumerates all of the liens and encumbrances on the property. So liens are, of course, things like loans and notes and deeds of trust that have been recorded against an interest in the property. So when you buy your property with a loan, there's a note and a deed of trust. The deed of trust is recorded with the county and creates a lien on the property. The property is a security instrument for the loan. Now, encumbrances could be a variety of other factors that affect real property. Those could be things like easements or covenants, conditions, and restrictions, like if it's in a homeowners association. So easements are cases where you have to tell the buyer that there are certain physical limitations on their use of certain portions of the property, or that other folks have the right, for example, to ingress, egress, let's say on a shared driveway. The shared driveway would be an example of an easement. Okay, now there could be a variety of other encumbrances and liens on your property. I'll get the preliminary title report right away, and that way we can tackle any potential issues there, get payoffs from lien holders, and we'll have a very smooth and easy running escrow for you. As your listing agent, I prepare a variety of disclosures and documents. The two most important disclosures that we'll be asking you to complete to the best of your ability are the TDS, Transfer Disclosure Statement, and the SPQ, Seller Property Questionnaire. The most important thing on these properties is to tell everything that you know about the property to the best of your knowledge, including the history, desirability, and any factors that may impact the property now or that could reasonably be expected to impact the property in the near future. Those should all be properly disclosed. The only real risk you have in selling real estate in California is by somehow being accused of not telling the whole truth about what you know about your property. So if you want to have a pleasant escrow and the confidence to know that all of your proceeds are secure and that no one will be calling you after the fact to ask questions about a property that you no longer own, The best way is to tell the whole truth and to thoroughly complete all of the disclosures. I'll read them and ask questions and potentially remind you to update or include certain things if I catch certain ones that, maybe sometimes are missed. Now, before we set up a final closing date, or maybe right when we are setting up the final closing date, we'll also set up a so-called final walkthrough, a verification of property condition. This is the buyer's chance to come and see the property right before the closing, usually right before they go and sign any loan documents. This is not an inspection, and it is not a contingency of the sale of the property. This is merely the buyer's chance to come back to the property one last time to verify that any repairs that we did agree to perform for them were actually repaired, and to make sure that the property is being provided to them in substantially the same condition as when they made their offer. So that means that you and I together, working together to sell your property, we need to keep the property in substantially the same condition as when the buyer saw it. That means doing things like mowing the lawn and tending to any basic maintenance that's required on the property in order to provide the property in that same condition as when they made their offer. Now, the close of escrow will happen according to a schedule that you'll know about. You're going to have kept your utilities on. You may still be living at the property. It might be time to move. The time of possession, as you may know, is separate from the closing date. So it's also possible to negotiate a few extra days at the closing to allow the property to close and to give you, the seller, a chance to actually move. So depending on if the property is vacant or occupied, the buyer will get the key to the house soon after the close of escrow. If the property is vacant, buyers typically get the key on the date of the close of escrow at 5 p.m. So how does the buyer get the key? Well, we'll leave the key in the lockbox, and the buyer's agent will use the lockbox to let their buyer into their new home. You'll keep all of the extra keys, remotes, and all of the additional documents and manuals that are related to the appliances in the right-hand drawer immediately to the right of the kitchen sink. Somehow that's where we all know where all of the sellers are keeping their documents, extra keys, remote controls, any clickers, fobs to access the building, common areas, elevators, etc. Leave all those there. We'll leave one key in the lockbox. Now, the lockbox, I'll come back and retrieve it probably about a week after the closing, giving the buyer and the buyer's agent ample time to, in their own time, on their own schedule, have a private, congratulatory meeting at the property. I'll go back to that after the fact and remove the lockbox. All right, now you've sold the house, you've moved out, and our opportunity to work together has concluded. I'll be thanking you for hiring me to help you to sell your home, and I'll keep you fully aware and informed of any issues that may somehow pop up. Now finally is the time to turn off utilities and to do the download of all of the electronic files that went with the sale. Thanks so much for using me and our team here at eXp San Diego House Hunting for the sale of your house. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Good luck and happy house hunting.